What's up, coaches? Matt Sanders here, your host for Shooting Secrets with Sandman. So glad you joined me today. And I'm inside today because I got a question from a buddy of mine about the basketball. So, this week on this episode, we're going to talk about the basketball, the size of it, and why it matters. Let's dive in. But before we do so, click that like button, subscribe button down below, and follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Shooting Secrets with Sandman. So, today, the basketball. Why does it matter? Well, I've got my little son's tyke basketball goal behind me, the little tyke one, and really glad that I have the opportunity to use it because I think it is a great example of what we're going to talk about today. This is an NBA basketball, authentic, and that basketball, as you can see, if you know those little basketball goals, it won't fit through that rim, right? What does that have to do with dribbling or shooting with the right size ball? It has a ton to do with it because this one, as you can see, is much smaller and fits perfectly in there. And if you follow on YouTube and Instagram, you would have saw the last week we talked about the size of the ball going through the basket and why that matters. But when he asked me the question about the basketball, he was actually asking me about what type to buy and what type is best for the use and why does college teams use this kind and that kind. And so it really got me to thinking, like, does that really matter? Well, actually, it really does. So I have this little tyke basketball goal. I have a 6-year-old, and we're about to start some basketball camps here in about a month or so, and I've been teaching him a little bit inside with that little ball. And it's interesting to watch him shoot it because he naturally wants to shoot it with two hands, right? And frankly, like, it's too hard to teach with the big ball because he can't really get it there. But in here, we can talk about holding it and shooting it with one hand. We don't even use the balance hand inside because we really don't need it. So, is that important? Yes, it is. And so, coaches, this one for you today. Really, really important for you as you do camps for your younger kids, as you're teaching younger kids, maybe your son or your daughter. So I wanted to do a quick one here on YouTube, the tutorial about the size of the basketball. So I've got a 6-year-old. So ages 4 through 7, you should be using the size 3 ball. It's 12 inches in size. It weighs about 10 ounces. Why? Because it helps for control. It helps for passing. It helps for dribbling. It helps for shooting. It helps for all of those parts of the game. It creates more opportunities for the kid to see the ball go in the basket. And let's go ahead and nail this right here. I really believe at 12 and under, the basket should be no higher than 8, maximum 9 feet, but especially for the little kids, it should be between 6 and 7. Why? Because they can see it go in the basket, right? It's really important. So how many of you coaches have said, hey, to your player in a game, especially high school and college, hey, got to get yourself to the free throw line so you can see the ball go in the basket. So vitally important to see the ball go in the basket. And it's more fun, right? Every kid wants to have more fun. All right, so ages 4 through 7, the size 3 ball. The size 4 ball is perfect for the U10 kids. 25.5 inches in circumference and 14 ounces. As the kid grows, the ball should grow with them. What does that have to do with it? Their hands, their height, the strength of their muscles, that absolutely plays into the fun they're going to have, the easier it is going to be to dribble, shoot, and pass, right? That is extremely important as you teach. So coaches, as you go into your camps, right, it's really important to have that basketball that fits that age kid. All right, lastly, the size 5 ball. This is your U12 kids, 27.5 inches in circumference. It weighs about a pound. This is for 9 to 10 to 11-year-old kids. Again, it still fits in the hoop easier, right? It goes through the basket easier. It's easier to dribble the basketball, crossover, behind the back. As you're teaching them all these moves, it's just easier. And so that, like, as they play in the game. So overseas in Europe, they play a bunch of 3-on-3. I love that idea, right? You teach your kids to move a little quicker. The reads in the game are easier, but more importantly, it's easier to dribble and pass and shoot in that, and the height of the basketball goal is set up perfect for that age kid. Okay, so lastly, the older kids, the middle school, the high schoolers, the boys use a size 7. It's 29.5 inches in circumference, and it's about a pound and a half. The ladies use a size 6 ball. It's about 2 ounces lighter. It's about an inch smaller in circumference. You guys have seen them. You've worked with them as if you're a coach at all. Again, though, the ball matters. Okay, so let's talk about, as we finish up here, why that matters. Well, most importantly, it really helps the kid grow in their skill, right? The skill of shooting, the skill of passing, the skill of dribbling, all of the skills that go into being a basketball player. The size of the basketball matters. And here's the really fun part. It helps them absolutely see the skills of their heroes come to life in their game. Candace Parker, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, best shooter in the world right now. This is Shooting Secrets with Sandman. All of those people can really shoot it. The ball in their hand is perfectly fit for them. It needs to be for your kids, the kids you coach, especially when you're doing camps, or even if you're teaching your kid in the backyard. Like, you need to think about this. And as you guys are maybe instructing your parents that are in your programs, tell them, hey, this is the size ball you need to buy, the height of the rim here, and you marry those two things, and your kids can really score. It also improves their ability to beat defenses, right? So when they start playing games, the size of the ball makes it easier to pass. They could throw a skip pass over a zone. They could drive a little bit better against defensive competition, shoot it, and see it go in the basket. Lastly, part of that is, how many of you coaches have been in games where you're coaching maybe the U10 kids or even the U12 kids, and the games are like, at the end of the game, it's like 12-2 or 4-0. Like, come on, like, who wants to watch that, right? Well, neither do the kids. The kids don't enjoy it either. So why not put a ball in their hand that actually helps them score the basketball, dribble the basketball, and pass the basketball? And lastly, of the skill set here that matters, you always have the 1 or 2 kids that are more mature at the same age than the others, right? You always have those. Well, with this basketball, you kind of you close that margin, because the kids who haven't matured yet, the late bloomers like me, I grew like 5.5 inches in high school right before my senior year. Like, it helps those kids like me, to catch up and play the game at a similar level to the kids who are more mature, and the games are more fun and they enjoy it more. Right? The whole point is to keep kids in basketball. It's the biggest sport in the world right now, right? It's faster growing than any sport in the world right now. So why not keep the kids, especially here in the U.S., keep them more excited about the game? Because as the other kids mature, I can use a basketball that makes me feel like I'm just as mature as that kid, the young lady, the young man. So this episode today about the basketball, why does it matter? It matters for teaching the skill of shooting, teaching the skill of passing and dribbling. But this is Shooting Secrets with Sandman. So let's be clear about this. That basketball fitting in the palm of that hand, in their hand on their shooting pads, the 3 fingers control the drive the bus, the balance hand, all of that is made easier by the size of the basketball. It is. And the ball will go in more. It's easier to teach their muscle memory because the ball doesn't weigh too much for them to have to use 2 hands to shoot it, which all the coaches know that there are very few players who can do that. Sure, there's some out there, but you want to shoot the ball as consistently as possible. And imagine if you start them in your program at a young age, shooting the ball that way is so much easier to teach. And even your younger coaches can teach it, because they'll be able to do it easier and better as they're instructing it. So glad that you joined us this week. Can't wait to see you on the next episode of Shooting Secrets with the Sandman. Talk to you soon.